Hello everyone, and today I will create an application of updating status and post pictures like Facebook. So let's start with the new project, and my project name is my app, and the company domain is going to be android.com, and let's say okay, the project is now ready, and I will first create the uh, design of the login screen, and then I will create the registration page. If the user doesn't have an account, then he will be able to create his account, and I will also create a login system as well as a registration system. So first of all, connect the application with the database. I have already the Firebase image upload and database in the Firebase console. So now I will make some changes. These are the dependencies. You have to add these dependencies in the Gradle build file, and this is the Firebase authentication. I think I should add from there, and you can see the dependency of the authentication. So I will replace this dependency with these dependencies I have copied from the notepad file. Okay, so this is the application where you will learn about how to update status and upload pictures in the Firebase database. So let's start with the main activity. Replace this with the constraint, replace this with the relative layout, and now it's time to create a login activity. Okay, go to the basic empty activity and name it as login activity. Okay, in this XML file, replace this with the relative layout, and again we have two text views. The first one is going to be the email text box, and the second one will be the password text box. So this is the first one, edit text. Let me add some attributes of this text box. Now copy and paste this edit text and replace the ID of the edit text with the txt password. Okay, set the input type as well, and now we have a button, a login button. So the text of this button is login, and we will also set the on click method of this button and give the ID. Okay, replace this with the linear layout, and you can see the design. Okay, this is layout gravity. Create this method, and now okay, we should also have a button for the sign up, for creating an account in the database. So we will also create a button for the sign up account. Give the ID to btn sign up. Okay, in the login activity.java file, we have actually two buttons. The first one is the btn sign up, and we have a break statement, and again in the second case we have a button sign in the default break. Okay, the first when we press the first button, it will navigate to the register activity. Okay, main activity dot class, start activity, and pass the intent. Okay, now copy and paste in the sign in button method, and again we will replace this with the register activity. Okay, we don't have this register activity class, so create an empty activity for creating an account. So I will name it as register activity, and this is the register activity. Replace this with the linear layout, and again the orientation to vertical. Now paste these elements, these views in the activity register, and we have a button create account, and we will also have a new text box. For example, we have our name field, txt name, and text password, text person name. Okay, in the on click method we will go to the main activity. For example, when someone click on the registration button, create account button, it will go to the main activity. So first we will apply, and we will add a check in the login activity. For example, if someone open the application, so if the user is logged in, then it will go to the main activity. Otherwise the user will go to the login activity, so that he can log in to go to the main activity. So this is the condition: Firebase user, current user. Okay, this condition must be in the main activity. So on create main activity, create a variable for the Firebase authentication. Now initialize it in the onCreate method. Okay, so now this is the condition. If current user is equal to null, then send to the login activity. We do not have this method, so alt plus enter and create this method. Intent. Okay, this is the context, and again we will go to the login activity. So this is because the main activity is the launcher activity, so whenever the user open the application, it will send the user to the main activity. But we have applied a check in the main activity that if the Firebase authentication is equal to null, then it will go to the login activity. And you can see okay, I have a wrong navigation in the login activity, so let's fix this. This is the sign up button, so we will go to the registration activity, and this is the sign in button. So whenever the user press the sign in button, it will go to the main activity and replace this with the registration activity. Okay, now it will work fine. And let's code for the registration activity, and after registration we will code for the login the user as well. So this is the registration activity, and we will require a variable or an object for the Firebase authentication, and we will also need a database reference. For example, if a user creates an account, then it will the date of the user will be will also be added in the real-time database. So initialize the M authentication, initialize this variable, and okay, in the on create I have initialized the authentication variable, and now also initialize or create a reference of the database for the users. So we will have a child m authentication dot get current user. Now we also have a txt name, txt email, and txt password. So you need to connect these variables with the XML file. Okay, so whenever a user click on the when a user click on the button, it will go to the main activity. So we have name of the user, the email, and the password, and we will also apply a check on both on these variables. For example, if we have empty name, empty text field, and empty text field for password, email, and name. Okay, so let's change this check with the not condition. So it means that if we have empty fields, empty text box, if we do not have empty text box, if the text fields are not empty, then create an account. Otherwise, show a toast message, fields are empty. Okay, create this method, and let's code for creating an account. As we have a progress dialog as well. Okay, initialize this progress dialog in the on create method, and okay, whenever the user press the button, press the sign up button, and if the fields are not empty, then it will show a progress dialog with the message of creating an account, and it will do some process of creating an account in the Firebase database. Okay, progress.show, and now authentication.create user with email and password, and because we have the user's email and password, so we will create an account for user on the basis of email and password. So this is the condition. If the task dot is successful, then add the name of the user, in the database. So we have a child object users, and inside the users we have a unique ID of the users, and inside the unique ID we have a child name, and the value of this name will be the name of the user we have retrieved from the text box of the name. And now this check, you can see if this task is successful, then go to the main activity. So for the main activity we have two lines of code. For example, intent is equal to new intent, and register activity, this is the context, and we will go to the main activity. So start activity is the method, is the built-in method for starting a new activity, and whenever we go to the main activity we will call a function finish. So whenever a user press the back button, the application close the application. Okay, so this is the database you can see, and I have a login screen over there. So create a new account. For example, the name of the user Junaid Durani, and the email and as well as the password of the user. Click button, and you can see it will take a little bit time for creating. It depends upon the connectivity, or it depends upon the connection of the internet. And okay, let me set up the sign-in method. Okay, this sign-in method is disabled, so enable this email and password authentication. And now I will try again, and it will work. So okay, in the real-time database we have in the database section we have a real-time database. So create a new database in the Firebase console and go to the rules, and these rules, okay, so add authentication is not equal to null, okay, and replace this as well, authentication is not equal to null. So the user will be able to write some data in the database if he is logged in, otherwise it will not work. And you can see the users, the current ID, this is the unique ID, and on the basis of this unique ID, user ID, I have the name of the user. So I identify the users with the unique ID.